Welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective with Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. Planning for your financial future means navigating challenges like market volatility, inflation, and retirement income. Pankinen Financial Perspective is here to help by addressing common financial concerns, sharing valuable strategies, and exploring ways you can work toward your financial goals. Now let's get started with Pankinen Financial Perspective.
Hello, and welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective. My name is Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 952-873-2703 or visit us online at pankinenfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And while at my website, click on our radio page to check out our past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon Music. You can also sign up for my newsletter or click the link at the top of my homepage to get a retirement guide. Though it may seem hard to believe, we're already halfway through 2025. And while there are warm weeks ahead with family barbecues, baseball games, trips to the beach, and all other things we love about summer, this is also the ideal time to set up your financial strategy for a successful conclusion to the year. But before we jump into some of the ways to finish out the year on a high note, let me introduce my co-host, Tony Shore, who's in official summer uniform today, his Bermuda shorts.
Yeah. Well, the thing is you can only see me from the waist up, so no one's going to know that I'm wearing Bermuda shorts today. Well, Ashton, good to talk to you again. I know you were at a conference last week with a lot of top advisors from around the country, and that's always really educational to get together with some of the top financial minds in the country, and it actually took place up in Canada, didn't it?
Yeah, we had a nice trip. It was up in Quebec City, Canada there. It's like you said, it was great networking with some of the other top advisors. We share ideas and we had a really good time. We did some whitewater rafting, which I always anticipated I would do in Colorado for the first time, or somewhere out west, and just happened to have the opportunity in Quebec to do that. And
it's a beautiful city, isn't it? I mean, if you're wondering what old world Europe looks like, right? Or a small town in France. I mean, it's a crazy place.
The thing I like about these trips, Tony, is it's, I don't think I would have picked Quebec City as a destination for me and my wife.
Me either.
Out of the blue. But, when they kind of choose it for you and you go, and it's one of our favorite cities that we've been to so far.
Yeah, that's neat. I think that's great. Well, you've got a great topic for us today. Obviously, this is a big one. Before we jump into it, I've been good because you and a lot of folks I work with were up at that conference. I didn't attend that one this year, so I had kind of a quiet week last week. I enjoyed the break. I really did, and got a chance to get a lot done while you were gone. I got so much done. I put in some more sod, did some more landscaping, sweat a lot. It was warm and humid, hot and humid, I'll tell you that. But that's good. I think we're going to get a lot. We're going to get some more rain here, though, I'm afraid.
Yeah. Well, we kept getting the weather alerts of heat advisory from, back home. On our phones, and I'm like, oh geez, we missed some hot humid weather, which I'm okay with.
96 and record humidity and heat. You didn't miss a lot there. Well, I'll tell you what, the topic, once again, it's a really good one, and I think it's really important. Where do you want to begin on this topic?
Yeah, let's just start talking about something very simple and powerful when it comes to building your retirement. And that's making regular contributions to your retirement account. Yeah. I think that's the foundation, but there's a lot to talk about. There's all kinds of changing rules in the 401k space when it comes to contributions. And, sometimes it's as simple as that limit increases each year, but they've got a few different rule changes that are unique this year. So if you're serious about maximizing your growth and avoiding mistakes this year, and there's 3 updates that I kind of want to make everybody aware of.
Okay.
The first one is automatic enrollment. Starting in 2025 any new retirement plans are required to automatically enroll participants at 3% contribution rate. And then they have an increase by 1% every year until it hits somewhere between that 10 to 15%. And I think that's a great way to kind of nudge people in the right direction when they first get started in a 401k plan. I think of my nieces and nephews who are in their 20s and, even though their uncle tells them all the time, hey, we got to start contributing to 401k plans. That auto enrollment is a great way to get investors started. And again, that 3% isn't going to be enough to hit that retirement goal, but at least, you dip your toe in the water and get started on that plan there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And so auto enrollment, I see that as a good thing, right? I think the fact that it forces more people to start contributing regularly. That's a big one. And you know what? Obviously, that's important. But is there a catch to all this?
Yeah. So the rule doesn't apply to some older plans.
Okay.
So if you had a plan that started pre 2025, or small businesses with less than 10 employees, church plans, there are a few catches like that. So depending on where you work, it might not automatically happen for you. So if that's the case, you want to make sure you enroll yourself in the 401k plan. Otherwise, you're missing out, especially if there's a match at the employer. We want to take full advantage of that because that's big return on your investment there that I can't get. But again, the sooner we start that compounding interest. And again, we want to take advantage of that free money when the employer's getting a match. And again, that 3% is a default. But again, it's not going to be enough to get us to that finish line of retirement. Most experts in the field say anywhere from 10 to 15%. I like to lean closer to that 15%. And depending on when you're starting to contribute, if you're not doing it until your mid 30s, maybe it's closer to 20%. That we want to get to for as far as contributions into your 401k from your salary that you're doing there. Yeah. And there's no shame in not getting there today. But we want to make sure, because it's hard to go from 0 to 20% inside of there. And so if we can go, start off with that 5 or 10%, every time we get a raise, increase that amount or set up that systematic 1% every year to increase your contribution limits there.
Yeah. Well, and let's note that if you're looking to strengthen your financial strategy so you can finish 2025 strongly, make sure you set up a check-in appointment with your financial services professional. If you're not already working with one, make sure you give Ashton there at Pankinen Financial a call, because that's really, really going to help you out with this.
Yeah, and feel free to reach out to our office. You can call us at 952-873-2703. Again, that's 952-873-2703. Just make sure we're on the right track. Visit us online at pankinonfinancial.com, PANKONIN financial.com.
All right. So what's next?
Yeah, let's talk about something new for 2025. They have a kind of a sweet spot between ages 60 and 63 now. They're allowing for additional catch-up contributions. Traditionally, a catch-up contribution is after age 50. You're allowed to do $7,500 in 2025 on top of the regular contribution of $23,500. So you could actually put away $31,000 total into your 401k if your age is 50 and older. But again, starting new this year, for those that are age 60 to 63, you're going to be able to stock away an extra $11,250, bringing your total contribution that you're allowed to do to $34,750. And that can give a real serious boost to your 401k or your retirement plan, especially as you're getting close to that retirement plan. And I know not everybody's going to be able to do that full contribution of $31,000 or $34,000. But it's not an all or nothing. You can contribute. Maybe you can only afford $30,000 or $20,000 $25,000 into that plan. And so, but every dollar matters that you put away now is $1 less you have to worry about in retirement. And the other thing I look at is a lot of times when you get to that 50 or older, 55 and older, maybe you're empty nesters now. And so some of those expenses have gone down in your household. And so it might be a good opportunity to where you weren't able to budget for that before, to be able to budget and really stick away those extra dollars. And that's where those catch-up contributions come into play.
Yeah, and it was a good reminder. You mentioned it a minute ago. You don't have to hit the max on a contribution for it to still be meaningful, but as you get older, it is helpful to every dollar counts, right?
Yeah. Again, the more you put away now, the more comfortable you're going to be in retirement, and the easier, and maybe even sooner, the sooner you'll be able to retire as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really important. So, what's the third thing you need to have on your radar?
Yeah. So new this year, well, I guess they shortened the timeline for part-time workers to be eligible for 401k plans. So it used to be 3 years and 500 hours of service to be eligible for a 401k plan if you work part-time, but now they've shortened that to 2 years. And I know, part-time workers, with not having that full-time income, the budget can sometimes be a little tight, but every little bit you can do is going to help you. The $100 a month or a couple $100 a month you save now could add up to thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in retirement. And so it's why it's important to stay plugged in on what's happening and what changes are happening in your 401k and retirement accounts. Something changes for the most part every year. They typically with inflation, they increase the amount you can contribute to, according to the cost of living adjustment there. And it could potentially be a big deal for those who have been on the sidelines.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're right. Obviously, you need to make sure that you maximize these things, make sure that you're getting the most out of your 401k, these types of things. But the way to ensure that is to work with a trusted financial professional like yourself. And Ashton, I know you're offering a no charge, no obligation consultation there at Pankin Financial. How can our listeners set that up?
Yeah, Tony, the best way to get a hold of us to set that up is give us a call at our office, 952-873-2703. Again, that's 952-873-2703. Or if you're not ready to make that phone call, visit our website, sign up for one of our guides, listen to some of our other podcasts. And that website's pankininfinancial.com, PANKONIN financial.com.
All right. And today we're talking about how we're basically just past the midpoint of the year 2025 and some financial steps you may be able to take and make the rest of the year as smooth as possible. How are we going to do this? What's next on the agenda?
Yeah, for the rest of the show, Tony, we're going to kind of focus on retirement and how you can tighten up your strategy in the coming months before the end of the year here, just to avoid some of the common mistakes that happen in retirement. And one of those common mistakes is, and the biggest one, is underestimating longevity. People are living longer nowadays. We joked on past shows, the spare parts are putting in people nowadays. People are living longer and longer. And if you're 65 today, you could be looking at 17 to 20 more years of retirement on average. And then the Census Bureau now says that the likelihood of living past 100 has now quadrupled. So now you're not only worrying about 17 to 20 years, we're talking maybe 30 years or more in retirement.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a long time. And again, if you don't have a proper plan in place, that longevity risk becomes real. I've looked at how you're going to fund that 3 decades of retirement. We want to look at living expenses, and something that not a lot of people factor in is healthcare. They assume that their healthcare is all going to be covered by Medicare Part B. But again, we want to factor that in along with inflation. And so some people come to me without a plan. They'll come to me at age 62 and say, "Hey, Ashton, I'm retiring next year." And I say, "Oh, that's great. What's your plan for retirement income?" And then they're like, "Oh, well, I just figured I'm 62. I can collect Social Security. I'm going to retire." And so again, it's important to have a solution, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but we want to make sure that we have a plan in place to help you with that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's key. So, everybody wants to have a long, healthy retirement. And with people living longer and longer, we know longevity is a thing. So you have to have the money to fund it. And that's why this is important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And another thing that people don't really consider, I've had the people that tell me they're going to retire early without a plan, but then you want to make sure if you do have to retire early, you've got a plan, because more people have to take early retirement. Not every retirement happens on your terms. In fact, about half of retirees leaving the workforce, it's earlier than expected because of whether it's health issues, family caregiving, maybe they have to go take care of a spouse or an aging parent, layoffs, buyouts, all things that can fast track your exit, whether you're ready or not. And that's why having a plan B is important as well, in case we do have to hit that early retirement age. I've had a few clients who we'd had to do this for, and it's, as long as we have that plan B in place, maybe we got to be a little extra frugal those first few years of retirement. Or if we're able to work part-time to get through that. And if you're a couple, it's not a solo conversation that we're having here. We both need to be prepared for the possibility that one of you might have to step back from work sooner than planned. And then we want to talk through it before those life decisions happen for you. We want to have that plan B in place of, hey, what if, I've had some clients come to me, hey, I'm a little nervous about my employment right now. We're getting bought out by XYZ company, and I have to re-interview for my job. So again, if we're staring that 3 to 5 years down the road of retirement, do we have that plan B, and are we able to get through it?
Yeah. Having a plan B is never a bad idea, but having a plan in general is important. Having that written plan is huge. And couples, I think, are going to find that communication is the key, and talking through these various scenarios with a financial professional like yourself is an easy way to get everything out in the open, and you're going to feel so much better once you've done it.
Yeah, for sure. And, and one of the other overlooked parts of retirement planning, and really has nothing to do with money, Tony, is how you're going to fill the new hours of retirement.
Yeah.
On paper, everybody talks about retirement and it sounds like paradise, travel the world, sleep in, hit the beach, do whatever you want, whenever you want. But the truth is, while we retire for something, not enough people know what they're retiring for or what they're retiring to. And so we want to think about, what does retirement look like for us? Do we pick up some extra hobbies that we didn't have time for while we were working? What gives you purpose? We still want to have some purpose, whether that's volunteering. And again, we want to be on the same page. This is a conversation. If you have a partner, a spouse, that we're on the same page about, if one partner wants to travel all the time and the other one says, well, I'm happy just gardening at home. We want to make sure we have those discussions ahead of time and try and get on the same page of what retirement looks like. Because if we don't have a plan, you can start spending a little bit more money because you don't have much to do. And so, you're looking for something to do. And so you're spending more money in retirement and blowing up your budget.
Well, yeah, you don't want to blow up the budget, and there are a lot of expensive mistakes that can be made if you're not working with somebody like yourself. And communication, again, is the key. Having a plan for all that newfound free time, though, I'm glad you brought this up, because it's going to help you avoid overspending. And again, blowing up the budget. Planning things is good. A lot of people hit retirement and they're like, now what? So, and then half of them end up busier than they were before they retired too. You hear that a lot, I bet. Like I have so much with grandkids, or maybe they are doing volunteer work with a nonprofit or a church, or they work part-time, or they're traveling so much more. It depends, but you do need something. You need to have a purpose and have a plan for your time in retirement, not just your money, but your time. And what you do with that time will affect your money, is what you're saying, right?
Yes, it will. And again, I've had so many clients, once they retire, it's harder to get them in the office than when they were working, just because they do pick up a lot of hobbies and volunteering and grandkids and those things. And so it is important to have a plan as well, just because, again, it's not really a financial side. Well, it is a little bit, because if you don't have a plan, you're probably going to end up overspending. But again, it's something you want to think about, even though it's maybe not the dollars and cents side of it. And if you're married with a partner, it's important to remember that retirement just doesn't happen for one of you. And it's not always the scenario that we can have where both parties retire at the same time. Sometimes one spouse may retire a little sooner than the other, for whatever reason, whether that be age, or maybe they just are ready to be done with work and the other spouse isn't. And so again, it's a conversation that we want to have early. We don't want to wait until hey, I'm retiring tomorrow, and I'm going to hang it up. We want to make sure we have these conversations early about money and meaning. What kind of meaning are we going to have in retirement? What kind of things do we see ourselves doing in retirement? Because if you're dreaming of travel and adventures while others are, again, picturing a quiet morning, sipping coffee or gardening in the vegetable garden, you won't know until you've had that discussion with each other on what the dreams are.
And that's something a lot of people probably don't think about. They think about, I want to retire and travel. Have you discussed this with your spouse? When do they, when are you going to retire? When are they going to retire? It's not always the same day, and it doesn't have to be the same day. Sometimes it works better if it's not. You might want to stagger it, depending on health benefit. There's so many factors, but you're right. I'm glad you pointed this out, because, each person's list or goals for retirement might be a little bit different. And there's probably enough overlap there that your shared retirement is going to be full of fun and adventure. But at the same time, communicate, right? I mean, you and I, we've been, you and your wife have been married long enough. It's Ashley, right?
Yep.
And Ashton, that was planned. Ashton and Ashley. I mean, that
took me a long time to find an Ashley, because
that was meant to be. But my wife and I, we've been married long enough to know communication is the key, right? We are not going to make any, Ashton, I know you're not making any retirement plans without Ashley's involvement, and I'm certainly not making any plans without Sarah's okay on this end. That's for sure.
Yeah. And so again, it's important to have those discussions. Another piece of it is social life changes. You're no longer going to work. You don't have those work people to be kind of that social outlet.
It's true.
And so again, we want to make sure that we're thinking about that, and maybe it's volunteering, joining a club, whatever it is to help with that social aspect too, of, hey, I'm not going to work, seeing the same people, having those conversations. And so sometimes you need an outlet for that as well. You want to be able to occupy yourself. Tony, I'm sure you're maybe looking at that pickleball court someday, or one of the world or most highest increase in numbers of sports is the pickleball there. So
yeah, it's pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the world.
Oh, right? Wow.
Yeah, in the world, and the number one cause of injuries for people 55 and older, I've heard, or something like that. There's some crazy stat. Pulled muscles, joint issues, broken bones. Yeah. I mean, pickleball, the whole reason it appeals to like the 50 plus crowd, guys like you and I, well, me more than you, but is because, it's easier than, as far as the athletic ability or physicality, than than other sports, but at the same time, people get into it, and then
you get competitive.
Yeah, you start getting too competitive, and then the injuries can happen.
Yeah.
But you got to be careful. You want to do some stretches before you just head out there and start running around the court and running back and forth into the kitchen, as they call it, up front by the net. Those who play pickleball will know. Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation. Let's keep it rolling. We want to put ourselves on firmer financial ground for the last half of this year, prepare for next year. What are some more ways we can do that?
Yeah. Another thing we look at is where you're going to live and how long that plan is going to work. Where you live at age 65 might be okay, but it might not be as, reasonable when you're 85.
Right.
A lot of times when you're younger, starting a family, you're planning for room for the kids to grow, good school districts, close to parks, those types of things. And then you become empty nesters, and maybe you can sustain that same house, or maybe it's time to downsize into something that's going to work for you for the next 10, 20 years. And again, at some point, is it going to be accessible when you're 85 and maybe not able to go up and down stairs like you used to, or in and out of the bathtub like you used to?
Yeah, I think that's good. Downsizing, or where you want to live, is a big factor in understanding if you're ready for retirement, or where you need to be if you're planning on retiring next year. Now is the time. We're about halfway through 2025. You gave us a lot of great tips. I know another thing you wanted to talk about today was the expense of healthcare costs, and making sure you're factoring that into your financial plans, whether you're in your working years or headed into retirement. But we're running out of time for today's show. We're almost out of time today. It's been a great discussion. So before we go, I know our listeners probably have questions. Many of them may not have a solid financial plan in place or retirement income plan in place. Knowing where they're headed or where they should be headed. Am I at a point I should be at this time in my life? Am I not? What do I need to do to get there? So to get answers to these questions, how can they get a hold of you and set up that no charge, no obligation consultation, Ashton?
Yeah, give us a call here at our office, 952-873-2703. Again, that phone number is 952-873-2703. Visit our website, pankoninfinancial.com, PANKONIN financial.com. And again, it's really important to look at maybe rebalancing before year end too, if you're staring retirement down the road there in the next few years. So
yeah, there you go. Well, I'll tell you what, Ashton, great show today. Listeners and viewers, thanks for tuning in. That does it for today's episode of the Pankonin Financial Perspective with our host, Ashton Pankonin.
Thank you for joining us for Pankonin Financial Perspective. Don't head into retirement without a plan for both your finances and your health. For more information, contact Ashton Pankonin at Pankonin Financial Group at 952-873-2703 or visit pankoninfinancialgroup.com. Join us again soon for another episode of Pankonin Financial Perspective. Advisory services are offered by Ashton Pankonin LLC DBA Pankonin Financial Group, an investment advisor in the state of Minnesota.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.